Oh yeah. Oh yeah, baby. Oh, where do I even begin? Cream. Wheels of Fire. 1-800-449-8255. The Clark the Shark Show. And what an amazing album here. Um, there were two great Cream albums before this. But unfortunately, this band was doomed to not last very long. Here at the Clark the Shark Show, I gotta tell you, Cream disappeared from our Earth far too soon. And Eric Clapton, kind of a flaky guy who he nudges in and nudges out, and he's in a project for a while and then he's gone. And even in his own solo career, it's kind of like this. He left this great band, Cream, to go play in a pretty darn good project called Blind Faith with Steve Winwood, but they only lasted one album. And somehow Ginger Baker weaseled his way into that. Of course, Ginger Baker did Ginger Baker's Air Force, which was kind of interesting, but kind of a disaster at the same time. At 1-800-449-8255, Clark the Shark Show. But I want to talk about Cream, Wheels of Fire. This album is just really weird. It's acoustic. It's got all these songs on it that Eric Clapton didn't like and that Jack Bruce and Ginger Baker loved. And I think this is the album where things begin to go different directions for the three guys. And I always wonder, what would it have been like if, Jack Bruce and Ginger Baker, who are always fighting, always drinking, a couple of British eccentrics, man, difficult, hard guys to get along with. And Eric Clapton's just kind of a mellow dude, he found a good project with these great musicians, and then he realized, oh no, that's another one of these. And he left. But I always wonder if Cream would have continued anyway and replaced Eric Clapton with some virtuoso, hot-ass guitarist back in the 60s. No one would play with these guys, Not Jeff Beck, not Hendrix, not Pete, not, I'm sure they could have found someone. But they, the three Cream guys disbanded very sadly, very unfortunately, after a very brief career. But this album is my favorite of the four Cream studio official albums by far. I loved Disraeli Gears in the first album, and Goodbye Cream definitely has moments. But this one, where they have side 1 and 2, where they're very committed to making a great studio album. But you get the feeling just two guys are really into this album, Jack and Ginger. Whereas Clapton began to say in interviews, and he said, I'm being used as a vehicle. They just want me solos. And, it might be true, because some of the songs are really acoustic, atmospheric. They're these downtrodden, sardonic, really nice songs, but they're acoustic. A lot of this album is acoustic driven. And when Clapton becomes Eric Clapton on this album, he's just blazing these leads out of nowhere with a Ginger Baker, of course, just rock's most amazing drummer, filling in the background with Jack Bruce, who's just insane on bass and lead vocals. But Eric Clapton was feeling more and more neglected in this band, like he was just, providing the excitement, providing the big rock and roll energy to make the album cool, and so teenagers and young adults would like it, because this album has acoustic stuff on it that, without Eric Clapton on it, you know, I would have liked it anyway because I love Cream. But, you know, of course, the first song is White Room, which is a classic, and I love Sitting on Top of the World. Great way to start the album. But now at tracks number 3, 4, and 1 on side 2, this album gets a little quirky. Passing the Time, which is a song I love, is so interesting. Uh, it's this slow, like, little, I don't know, acoustic. And then Jack Bruce is kind of narrating, and I love Passing the Time. And then Eric Clapton, you know, kind of rocks it up a bit, but it's mainly not really a rock and roll type of kick-ass song. It's like an interesting song that takes your mind for a ride. And as you said, interesting track, man. I love it, man. I love these two songs, Passing the Time and As You Said. And then Pressed Rat and Warthog is just such a weird song. Like, Ginger Baker really has a big role in this album. He's more than just a drummer. He's doing all this stuff on here. And he narrates this with a spoken word. And a lot of people think it's really lame and it sucks. But I think it's really funny and it's good. And later on, of course, Ginger Baker said he was referring to Eric Clapton leaving the band, and, you know, Pressed Rat and Warthog meaning him, and Jack Bruce closed up their shop because, you know, like, they just feel useless, and they're selling dog legs and feet, and, you know, they got this other guy who doesn't even care about the band. And it's a really ironic song, Pressed Rat and Warthog. It's really funny, man. If you listen to it over and over, it's such a good song. And I love spoken word. And Ginger Baker, for as crazy and weird and violent and eccentric, he's just got this genius for music on all these albums that Cream do. And his drumming is, man, he's the greatest drummer in the world. I mean, he invented the triplet and things like that, and put him into drumming. And, you know, he's not the cleanest drummer, you know, sort of similar to Keith Moon. He's kind of sloppy, man. He's not really super clean, but his energy is awesome. And his rock and roll IQ is rock and roll 101, baby. Ginger Baker. I wouldn't want to hang out with this guy. He'd probably start slapping me, throwing a beer at me, kicking me, or telling me to get the hell out of his taxi or whatever. But man, what a drummer, what a guy. I'm sure he has a nice side too, somewhere in that mean exterior and interior that is Ginger Baker. And of course, Politician, the song I was just playing, man, fuck, what a great song. Those were the days. Kind of takes me back to those 3 weird songs, like Passing the Time and As You Said. It's a weird song with these little bells in it, and it's such a nice, beautiful song. Those were the days. Yes, they were. Do, 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 do. With the little church bells. It's such a nice, beautiful song. I love it. And of course, Born Under a Bad Sign is awesome. Awesome. Great song. Slow rock and roll blues. Clapton at its best. I think Clapton wanted to do more songs like Born Under a Bad Sign, and less tracks like Those Were the Days and As You Said and Passing the Time. I think the fact that Jack and Ginger wanted to do this acoustic thing versus Clapton, who always wants to rock, and he does want to play blazing solos, but he doesn't want to be used as a vehicle for blazing solos. He wants his solos to be intricate and integrated into the song more. And on this album, these songs are so good, but then Cream realized we got to have Clapton rocking a blazing solo. And so his high energy Eric Clapton thing was inserted into many of these songs. It's not really natural, but I still love it. I like it either way. And I wish Eric Clapton could understand that we love him, we appreciate him, but his blazing solos kick ass, man. And if you insert them or whatever you do, they always work. At 1-800-449-8255. Yeah, Eric Clapton felt underappreciated in the Yardbirds, in this, now the Blues Breaker, wherever the guy is, with Winwood and Blind Faith, and then of course he got into Derek and the Dominoes project with all those pretty great songs on that album. It's nothing like Cream. But that's what Eric Clapton wanted to do. He wanted to go solo where he writes more songs and his guitar playing goes more with the song. But if you ask me to compare this album with Derek and the Dominoes and other Clapton solo albums, oh, fuck, man, I'll take this album any day. Way over Clapton. You know the old adage, what does coffee and cream, what is it? What is, they both suck without cream. Clapton and coffee. 1-800-449-8255. Clark Shark Show. Deserted Cities of the Heart is one of the greatest songs in rock and roll. And it goes with those 4 songs. Those Were the Days, and as you said, Passing the Time, and Pressed Rat and Warthog. I'm sure Eric Clapton loved Deserted Cities of the Heart, though. And I wish Eric Clapton would just admit this is a great album. It's great partially because of him, but it's great mainly because of Jack Bruce and Ginger Baker. Cream, Wheels of Fire. But Clapton was in that room rehearsing with these guys, and he didn't like their fights and their petty, drunken, British, thing, man. This album gets all 5 stars from people, man. It's so fucking great. Cream, Wheels of Fire. Look at that, man. You can't even fake that shit. It's such a great album. And Eric Clapton doesn't like this album. And he says this is the album that made him quit the band. And what a load of rubbish, man. What are you talking about? The Ginger Baker loves this album, and Jack Bruce is like, why don't we get back together and someday make an album? And Clapton just makes all this lame fucking shit solo that he never deserves 5 stars, Clapton. No way. But Cream, Wheels of Fire. This collection of great studio songs. 1-800-449-8255. I love As You Said, and I love Passing the Time. And I love Those Were the Days. I love Deserted Cities of the Heart. I like these songs more than White Room, which is just a redo of the Lovin' Spoonful, Hot Town, Summer in the City. At 1-800-449-8255. Cream, 3 noble, eccentric geniuses. I should say 2, and 1 mellow guy with a guitar who's a brilliant genius. But unfortunately, the guy, his solo career for me never really took off. Derek and the Dominoes is like it. With me, with Clapton, that's it, man. Beyond that album, I'm not really into the Eric Clapton thing. He plays like this Grateful Dead, Eagles, mellow, like Bob Seger. I don't, just like the shit, man, in the 70s. And his music gets really bad in the 80s. But when he was in this band, Cream, he made 4 amazing albums. And there could have been more, Eric, if you would have listened to people. But I kind of see Clapton's point of view because Ginger Baker's just so hard to get along with. So is Jack Bruce. And the two guys did nothing but fight. But after Cream, they became like buddies, and they would say, "We're like brothers, me and Ginge. He's like me brother." And but they finally did get back with Clapton in like 2005, but it was way, way, way too late by then. At 1-800-449-8255, Clark the Shark Show, Clark the Shark, the Wolfman Jack on crack, coming to you live here on February 13, 2023. Talking about Politician. Great song. Those were the days. And the funny Breast Rat and Warthog. Cream, Wheels of Fire. Amazing band. They were the greatest band in the world. Better than Jimi Hendrix. Better than The Who. I love this band, Cream, man. I love all these songs. I've got memories of growing up listening to all these 9 amazing songs. Not just White Room. Not just Sitting on Top of the World, which is so fucking awesome. But all 9 of these amazing songs on Cream, Wheels of Fire, the Big Gray album. You can hardly read the cover. It's like this gray veneer, glossy sometimes, and sometimes it's like a dull gray, but you can never really read what the hell is on the cover of Cream, Wheels of Fire, by one of the greatest bands. One of Clark the Shark's favorite bands at 1-800-449-8255. And I wish they could have made 1 or 2 more albums. I love Blind Faith, and I love Derek and the Dominoes. I even love Ginger Baker's Air Force. And Jack Bruce jamming with Frank Zappa. Come on, man. You gotta love that. But you can't replace Cream. Wheels of Fire, Disraeli Gears, that amazing first album. Even Goodbye Cream, as spotty and sketchy as it is, Cream always has something great to offer, man. Greatest 3-piece band. They basically, I can't say they started the 3-piece, but they perfected the project known as the 3-piece band. I kind of consider like the Who a 3-piece band, but they got Roger. But, all the bands like Rush and Triumph and The Police, my band, The Greenhouse Effect, we looked at Cream as the grand fucking fathers of 3-piece bands. They're the greatest 3-piece band of all time. I mean, I love Jimi Hendrix Experience, and there's a bunch of 3-piece bands. The James Gang, of course, man, awesome. And fuck, dude, Grand Funk Railroad was 3-piece for a while, and they were awesome. Of course, Triumph and Rush and others, man. But Cream is the, quote unquote, with the little things around, the 3-piece band of all time. 1-800-449-8255. 3 of the greatest musicians. Not the very most easy to get along with people. I wouldn't want to sit down with any of these 3 guys. I mean, I'd just get pissed at Clapton, and Ginger and Jack would just get pissed at me. But I love these guys, man. Cream, Wheels of Fire. An amazing album. One of my most favorite albums for these 9 amazing songs. And there's bonus tracks. Yeah, there's that other little song that Clapton sings, about tennis, Let's do tennis. Great song by Clapton. I love Cream, man. Wheels of Fire, my favorite album. And this is Clark the Shark with another amazing review of another amazing band. Can't say enough about Cream. I'm out.